Welcome to today's episode of Hot Takes with your host, me, Zach Gardner, Chief Architect here at Keyhole Software. My hot take for the day is you do not need to always build a consensus. What do I mean by that? Very, very fair question, webcam that I am talking into. Very fair question indeed. Think to yourself, how many meetings have you been in of 10 people? One person in the room knows the right answer. They're the ones that actually understand what is going on. The other 9 people, they might understand pieces of it, but they probably don't understand as a whole. That one person usually is very, very quiet, or they are extremely loud and they get red in the face. Either of those extremes is possible. What invariably happens is because there are 10 people in the room, we think that as we leave the meeting, our action items need to be an average of what those 10 people thought. Now, imagine if that happened in real life. Imagine if you're in an operating room. There are nurses in there are doctors in there are probably students in there. If you averaged everyone, would they know exactly the right thing to do in every single scenario? Probably not, and that's okay. Just because there are people in the room does not mean that everyone's opinion needs to be averaged together. Or if you're deciding on a logo for a company, does the CEO of the company really need to be the one that picks it out? Or should you trust a group of specialists whose job it is to understand what works well and what doesn't work well? I hope that you would instead defer to specialists. So we in the software world need to focus less on building a consensus. What we need to do more is be very vocal about the things that we know that work and the things that we know do not work. And that's okay. If you have a very homogeneous team where everyone thinks exactly the same way, you're probably going to have blind spots. That, not okay. If you have a very heterogeneous team, a good mix of people that are very outgoing, some that are quite reserved, as long as you as a manager understand the dynamics of your team, then you can really get the full output of what the organization needs from your team. If you know that there's one person in the room that almost always has the right answer, but they're quiet, maybe you ask them what their opinion is, and that's what you as the manager tell the team to lead with. If you understand that the person who has the right answer is usually hot-headed, as I sometimes am, totally admit it, then maybe you tamper expectations down for them. Maybe you tell them, maybe you prep them, maybe you don't have everyone in the meeting. Whatever it is, whatever the dynamics of the team are, make sure that the answer that you leave a meeting with is not always, doesn't necessarily have to be the average. It just has to be the most effective. So building a consensus, not necessarily bad. It honestly depends upon the team. And that's been my hot take for the day. Zach Gardner, Chief Architect here at Keyhole Software. If you agree with my hot take and that a consensus is not always ideal, shoot me a DM, shoot me a comment. If you disagree with me and you think that every single meeting should always be a consensus, let's talk. I actually want to talk to you more than the people that agree with me. So scan the QR code, let's get in touch. And I really want to understand your perspective. Again, hot take, Zach Gardner, Chief Architect here, Keyhole Software.